In 2000, I believe 7, my dad signed up for team and training for the most beautiful bike ride in Lake Tahoe. And at that time, I was going to fashion school. I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you raising this money? You can cycle by yourself. Like, you don't need to train. My dad has been cycling since forever, all I can remember. Growing up, we would do bike rides. We would go do like Mexico, Rosarito to Ensenada, the fun 50-mile bike ride. We would do it every April and every September. So I didn't really understand why he was doing this, but once I saw how he was training, how he was doing everything, it kind of just like, oh, you know, it's a really good thing that he's doing. He's raising money for cancer. Nobody in our family has ever been affected by the cause, but he was doing it for everybody. So 6 years later, we found out that he was diagnosed with MDS, which is a kind of form of leukemia. Instead of producing blood that was cancerous, he wasn't producing any blood. So his body didn't have any kind of blood reserve. So he was getting blood transfusions every week, platelets. So that started in March, and so we kind of all got tested. We're trying to see who would be a match for a blood a donor for him. So it was just his sisters, but nobody was a match. So it kind of just hit me then why team and training is so awesome. In October, we still didn't have a match. It was at that time where he was getting platelet transfusions almost every other day, where we would have to get it shipped from other hospitals because he was using all the reserves up. And at that point, he was making his bucket list. So it was kind of it hurt a lot. So at that time, I was in my best friend's wedding, and it was really hard, like, watching her go down the aisle with her dad, because it's like, the way I was looking at it, like, my dad's never gonna walk me down the aisle, and he's never gonna watch my kids grow up. Whew, sorry. And then, after my dad bought a ticket to Mexico City so he could see his family for the last time, we found out that he got a match. And that Thanksgiving, it took, and then he came home for Christmas. So, since then, sorry. Woo! Since then, he's been completely cured. And it's funny though, because his donor wasn't allergic to anything. And before, my dad was allergic to cats, was allergic to food, and he had straight hair, and now he has crazy curly hair. So it's crazy, but since then, we did, like, before he was diagnosed, he had this whole Mexico scuba diving trip planned, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. And so we did, like, a reunion of it, and we traveled all through Mexico for a month. In November 2011, scuba diving. So his wish was to be able to scuba dive and cycle again with his kids. And so we went scuba diving. He went, for my birthday, we went skydiving. And so in this year, June, it's gonna be his second time doing the Century Ride in Lake Tahoe. So, you know, without people like you guys raising money for, you know, leukemia and all the cancer, blood cancers, I mean, my dad probably wouldn't have been able to afford his blood transfusions and his platelet donations. People like you guys, without, it would have never happened. So that's why I joined Team in Training. Ever since he was cured, the way I thought, it was like, what can I do more to help people like my dad? I started donating platelets every 2 weeks to the Kaiser that he was part of. I mean, it takes 2 hours. Your body brings it all back, and you get 2 free movie tickets. So pass it around to your friends. So I did that, and I'm also a donor on the list for bone marrow. But it's always like, what can you do more? Like, there's not a lot of people that donate platelets, and people need it every day. But that's the way I think of it. What can I do more for people that, like my dad, was affected? But that's my story, and yeah. Did you videotape this?
Awesome. You guys should check out her blog, by the way, if you haven't seen it. She's got all the pictures.
Yeah,
And it's awesome.
I posted a lot of
Skydiving,
pictures.
color, all this stuff. It's awesome.